Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Comic Corner, where we do news, reviews, and interviews. I am one of your hosts, TJ, aka Fat Thor, and I am joined by my wonderful co-hosts, as always, AF, Parker, and Damon. AF, we'll start with you. How you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good, man. Just off the back of Comic Con Cape Town, so yeah, I had a great time. But I'm excited to get down into some comic books.
There's a lot of great books this week, and obviously, everyone out there can tell that I am heading the show today. It is a Fat Thor takeover because Damon is on the road, but we still got him here on a little audio. Damon, how are you doing?
It's my best Jeff impression. I was gonna do the Damon on the car, Damon on the road, but I'm here. I'm excited to talk some comic books. TJ, thank you for taking over. Appreciate it. But
Anytime.
this is one of those weird weeks where I looked at the slate and I was like, I'm gonna love this week's books, and then I read this week's books and I'm like, we'll get into it.
Okay, we'll definitely get into it. Well, like I said, we got a lot of great books, but obviously Damon has a little pushback on that. But we have Sabretooth finally revealed in the Ultimate Universe. But is it actually cool? And we also have Brainiac being a freaky little guy that's my favorite version of Brainiac, and Absolute Green Lantern, which we will get into. But first, let's get into some news. We have the new Avengers. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously if you haven't been in tune to the conversation. The new Thunderbolts movie, asterisk Thunderbolts. Also, spoiler if you haven't seen Thunderbolts yet, but it's everywhere. They are the new Avengers. That was like the whole kind of shtick with the, asterisk mark and all that. So obviously, we have to have a comic book to coincide with this new team. And we have Bucky Barnes, Black Widow, Laura Kinney, Wolverine, Hulk, looks like Namor in there, and Carnage. So, Damon, I'm going to start with you on this because I can already feel your thoughts coming through the screen. So, what do you think? What's your thoughts on the new Avengers?
This team barely made any sense as the Thunderbolts, and now it makes even less sense as the new Avengers. Like, what on earth is Carnage doing on this team and Clea? Like, I'd say like 4 asterisk of this group are traditional like Avenger characters with Namor and Hulk, Black Widow, obviously, and like Bucky with an asterisk. But like Carnage is just wild. My biggest thing with this, and kind of go back to our X books. And if you're looking at all Marvel comic media right now, there's 4 Avengers titles where you have Jed McKay's Avengers, the main Avengers. You have Steve Orlando's for Marvel Unlimited, the Astonishing Avengers. You have the West Coast Avengers. And now this. And I think maybe there's even like a Doom Superior Avengers. So like 5 asterisk on top of it. We're getting a lot of Avengers. Like a lot of Avengers. And I don't know how this will make sense in any of the stories going on, because this isn't like a One World Under Doom title. And the Avengers already exist. We already have West Coast Avengers. And we already, as I said, have Steve Orlando's Astonishing Avengers, which is like classic in the mansion Avengers. I just don't know what this is and where they are and why.
Yeah, there's too many Avengers going around.
I don't know. The team is fine. I feel like this feels more like a Defenders team.
I was going to say that. I was like this. They are literally just piggybacking off what happened in the MCU in terms of changing Thunderbolts. And I mean, there was a reason when they announced this book, when the Celestials came out, there was the Thunderbolts and asterisks next to the name. And I think, Damon, you and I, we chatted about this privately as well. And like we kind of knew the direction that they were heading, whatever was going to happen with the Thunderbolts movie. this comic book would probably follow suit in a similar fashion, and that's exactly what happened. There is absolutely no similarities, like Damon said, like you said, TJ. They all they literally did with the title of this movie is, okay, monkey see, monkey do. The movies did this. We're going to do the exact same thing in the comics. There is an MCU variant done by Andy Park with Yelena on the cover, and I have a bit of a gripe with that because use the character that's actually in this comic book and use that for that MCU variant. That was one of my only gripes with that sort of MCU variant cover.
I'll say this about the MCU variant covers, because we've seen some really cool ones. And I'll shout out like when the Scarlet Witch book was going on at the very first time, and they had like this sick WandaVision one that was like drawn like it looked great, and they did one for Eternals as well. And then I remember like a Guardians book came out, and it was literally just like a screenshot from the trailer. So at the very least, and it wasn't even like sized; it was straight up just like horizontal across the book. So at the very least, with that MCU variant, it is Andy Park like concept art of the movie that has the same title of this book. I'll give it that.
I'll give it that, but that doesn't mean I like it. I don't know, this book, I'll check it out, but I feel like the whole thing just doesn't work for me for exactly what you said, Damon. It's like everybody's an Avenger now. Like, what does that title even mean anymore, right? Like, it's like not even, that used to be like, oh my God, I'm an Avenger, right? But now everyone's an Avenger. So it doesn't really do much for me. And it's like, that's in the MCU, that name makes sense. Like, there's a lot of context of why they would choose that name. So like, again, with all the Avengers team we have in the books, doesn't really hit for me. And I'll also say a personal gripe I have with this, which I'm sure Damon can already tell, but some of my favorite writers, Colin Kelly, Jackson Lansing, they just came off 2 Thunderbolts runs, one before the on One World Under Doom, and then the current one. And they just came off of NYX, which featured Laura Kinney Wolverine. So the fact that they did not get the chance at this title is a little frustrating for me, because I would enjoy to see them continue with Bucky and Natasha, because they really played with that relationship. So I mean, yeah, I don't hate it, but I'm also not gonna be running to my shop for this one, I'd say.
It also didn't make any sense. I'll say it also didn't make any sense considered like how we got from like Jim Zub's Thunderbolts to like the Hive Mind Thunderbolts, and then now we were like back to the Thunderbolts asterisk. And my last thing I'll say on this, the standout of that movie from everyone is Yelena.
Yeah.
And you're gonna like not include Yelena in this book? Okay. Look, but I'll give you this. Like, I do appreciate that they're digging a little deeper into that Winter Soldier Black Widow relationship. Yeah. But I would like to see Yelena in here. That's it.
Yeah. We have Bix in the chat saying, I can tell Damon's invested in this MCU comic universe. He'd be like, not on my watch. I don't think Damon likes the MCU comic universe, Bix.
He hates
it. Don't think so.
I don't mind when things cross over. Like, I don't mind when books help promote movies or vice versa, right? Exactly, like when Hawkeye was coming out, we had a Kate Bishop book out. When Black Widow was coming out, we had Kelly Thompson's Black Widow book, and she included Yelena in that book. When Eternals is coming out, we made sure we had Eternals run. It's when you push it a little too far to where you have elements from those movies that were plot points that are not comic plot points, and you push that into a comic storyline that has no precedent, and then you make it a little muddy. That's when like I start to get a little hesitant.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And we talked about, I think it was last week with the TVA. I think the TVA comic book, I think that's a perfect example of what we're talking about here. And there's, I think, a very clear distinction between the two. But let's get in to some of the books for this week. Obviously, we had to start with one of the heavy hitters. We have Ultimate Wolverine #5 by writer Chris Condon, artist Alessandro Capuccio, colorist Brian Valenza, letterer Corey Pettit, and assistant editors Michael Marchese and editor Will Moss. And I will say, I think that this is a little typo on here because I'm pretty sure I can't remember the name, but there is a guest artist on this issue. I think Alessandro was busy doing other things, but I'll just start off
Blame
real
Comic
quick.
Geeks.
Oh, did they screw up?
Blame Comic Geeks.
Comic Geeks, come on, get your stuff together. But I'll start off with my thoughts just really quickly. I mean, I have been really enjoying this series. I think that this issue, while it didn't necessarily like blow me away, it gave me what I love about this series, and that's just Winter Soldier Wolverine being cool and just being like very violent and brutal, and that delivered it for me. So I thought this was a good issue, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite of the 5. Damon, I know that you have been loving this series as well. What did you think about the 5th issue and Sabretooth's reveal?
This is my favorite issue of the week.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I thought they
yeah.
made Sabretooth really fucking cool, man.
I agree.
They made him really cool. They made him likable, which is a rarity for Sabretooth because that's a character I often find annoying. And they made him really cool. They kind of had him be like a protector of younger mutants. Leech is there. He plays a little bit of a part. And at the very end, I kind of question how Leech's powers kind of work and don't work in the context of the story. But, you know, it's a comic book and we can kind of like give it some leeway. Essentially, at the very end, Black Widow kind of comes in, takes out Wolverine, and that works because Leech is kind of near him. But at the same time, Sabretooth is still recovering and he's fine, even though Leech is near him. And I'm like, it's a comic book. It's I'll give it some leeway on that one. But
Gotta
you
keep
get
some tension.
Yeah, you get some really cool moments between Logan and Sabretooth, like some historical things. We get TJ, we technically get the first talking moments of Logan in this series via flashbacks.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that growl. I don't know if that
Via
counts.
flashbacks. So we had full conversations between the two in a flashback.
Yes.
And how Logan was talking to him and saying like, hey, we know what these people do. If they ever take me in and make me one of their puppets, kill me. And Sabretooth just says, okay. And that's kind of like what his goal is in this. But their regenerative powers seem to be amplified quite a lot. Like, Sabretooth straight up regenerates an arm within minutes.
Dude, when a little spoilers for the book, but when he like punched or stabbed Wolverine literally with like his like bone stub, I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Dude, it's great. Like the visuals in this book are so cool. I love the idea of Winter Soldier Wolverine because it's undeniably terrifying. It's more terrifying than like Winter Soldier Deadpool, which was like one of the ideas that we kind of threw out there when this book was put out. Because Wolverine just takes it to that next level of that animalistic side. Love this book. Love this book. I thought the ending was a little silly, but we're progressing the story, and I'm curious to see who lives at the end of next issue.
Yeah, it does not look good for a lot of people. AF, did you get a chance to check this out? I know I know you're like behind like a week or so usually.
Yeah, so I got my Marvel Unlimited, so I can start reading things back the moment they get uploaded. But as of now, I've only ever read the first one. That's the one that Damon shared the QR code with. But yeah, just to clarify, the artist's name for this issue is Alex Linz. Comic Geeks did update it eventually.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm not an expert with the slides like Damon is. Next up, we have Absolute Superman. I love Absolute Superman. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to read this yet this week, so Damon, I want you to tell us all about it. But first, I also want to say thank you to our friends in the chat. Shout out Bex and shout out our good leader over at Agents of Fandom, TJ Zwarich. Very happy to have you guys. And also anybody else watching, feel free to throw in the comments what your favorite comics were this week. But Damon, take it away. Absolute Superman number 7.
So this is Absolute Brainiac number 1, because Superman makes 0 appearances in this issue.
Oh, okay. We're taking a little side adventure.
Yeah, we're diving deep into Brainiac. This is written by Jason Aaron, artist Carmine Di Giandomenico. And Brainiac is not my favorite Superman villain. Just not.
Like in this or just in general?
In general.
Okay.
He's an acquired taste, though.
Yeah, and it's partly because there's just like a billion plus Brainiacs, right? And this is kind of cool because this is a Brainiac that was literally just made to be a janitor / cleaner of all the dead Brainiacs. And eventually he becomes Brainiac Prime. So he's a very twisted Brainiac. He's clearly not the smartest. He doesn't know who Superman is. And there's still other Brainiacs kind of out there. That's all I'll kind of get into with that. Not my favorite issue because I'm not a big Brainiac person. But if you are, I think you'll like it. And like I said, Brainiac is freaky. He is freaky in this. Really freaky. There's a lot of body horror in here. A lot of it.
It sounds to me like they spending a full issue on world building because this might potentially, or not even potentially, it might just be a huge arc sometime in the near future. So they're trying to sort of lay the foundation and the building blocks for the time when Brainiac and Superman are going to eventually meet.
I think one of my issues so far with Absolute a bit is even though, like, theoretically, Darkseid should be the omnipresent villain, but we really haven't, like, fully sensed Darkseid at all in any of these issues. Instead, like, if we were talked about it last issue a little bit, but Brainiac's kind of working with, like, Ra's al Ghul, which is a wild pick for a Superman villain. So I'm still a little iffy on that, but I'll give it time. I'll give it some time.
Well, I guess in the Absolute universe, anything goes, right?
Sure.
I like that. And I'm going to agree with TJ here. I don't know about favorite, but I enjoy Brainiac. I think he's a cool character. And to hear that he's got a freaky, weird reimagining in this, I mean, I'm all for that. So I'm excited for that. And just fun fact for everybody out there, I learned this weekend that there's a version of Brainiac and Galactus merged together called Galactiac. And I thought that was really fun. So, fun fact for everybody. Absolute Green Lantern, number 2. AF. I'm not sure if you were able to get on this. I know you were excited for this, though, as well as I was. Damon, were you able to read Green Lantern? Did anyone get Green Lantern?
I did. That's why I put it on this list.
Okay, perfect. So, we will start with you again. Let us know all about Absolute Green Lantern. I had a little criticism for issue 1. Not criticism, but again, it didn't really blow me away. So what do you think? Will number 2 really sell me?
Ooh, I don't
That
like
doesn't
the sound of that.
Yeah.
I'm not, AF knows, I'm not a Green Lantern fan. I don't read / really know much of Green Lanterns outside of your heavy hitter names. And I feel like I'm starting to realize that the deeper I get into this book, because I'm like, a lot of times I'm like, okay, huh? Because a lot of this book in particular is a very big swing. These 3 that they've been putting out the last month, like this new wave between Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Green Lantern, are very different from, like, you know, their usual DC counterparts, like the main versions we know. And there's some cool things here. I'd say with like the Black Lantern aspect is cool. We see I believe we see Roy Harper in this issue, at least a kid named Roy with a gun, and he almost caused some chaos. And Guy Gardner plays a pretty big part in here and may or may not do some surprising things for Guy Gardner that results in this chaos that this town happens, or the chaos that happened in this town. This book just isn't clicking with me.
Please tell me about Guy Gardner's personality in this universe.
Hot-headed, but slightly more reasonable than possibly he usually is. He's a cop. He's an actual cop. I'll say that much. He's not space cop. He's cop. And he's bald. So that's a thing. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. The art in here too is also very different. It's very manga-esque. And I think you may remember that from like the first issue too. It kind of has like a little bit of like a manga look to it. So it's definitely different. I'll see this out through the first arc, but Green Lantern's never been anything I loved or was really into, and so far this just isn't clicking with me.
That's fair.
Yeah, I agree, honestly, 100%. Just off the first issue, I, unlike you, Damon, am a Green Lantern fan. I do really enjoy not even just a specific Green Lantern, just the world of the Green Lanterns. So I agree with you. I'm going to keep it up for the first arc. But I mean, when I saw it was coming out this week, I gotta be honest, like I wasn't like, oh my God, yes, an absolute Green Lantern. And like you said, first issue did not really click for me. I will say though, it is written by Al Ewing, who in my opinion is kind of famous for the slow burn openings. It usually kind of takes a little bit for his stories to start cooking. So I'm not writing it off. But as it stands currently, if I were to drop an absolute title, it would most definitely be this one at this point. Storm, a great book, one that I am excited for. Storm number 8 by friend of the show, Marewa Audeli, who hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get back on the show before the big event kicks off. Artist Lucas Wernick, colorist Alex Gumerez, letterer Travis Lanham, and editors Lindsay Kohik, Annalise Bisa, Martin Biro, and Tom Brevoort. So obviously I will take head on this one. Storm number 8 is awesome. It is great. I will say that it takes a kind of sidetrack that I wasn't really expecting, but I enjoy it. It's not a bad one. Based off how the last issue very much set up the upcoming Thunder War, which is going to be basically a war between all of the storm gods throughout every pantheon, Africa, Mesopotamia, all that good stuff. And this issue, we kind of not get a conclusion to that. We get a little glimpse of her and Thor kind of preparing for this. And then we kind of subvert the adventure back to Earth, where we began this series. Storm has this huge sanctuary that is meant to be a protection center for everyone, mutants, humans, anyone who needs help. And so now she's back on Earth and kind of dealing with the political government side of all of that. Like, how does her new kind of sanctuary fit into the governments of the world and all of that kind of stuff? So while I thought that we were really kicking off on the Thunder War, looking back on it, I'm kind of glad that we're taking a little side adventure, at least for an issue or two, because I love this series so much. And you can't just get to the main course sometimes, right? You gotta get ready a little bit. So yeah, another great issue of Storm. I can't wait to see where this goes. Do either of you guys have any comments on this? I don't think either of you have been keeping up on it.
I'll just say this. AF, are you surprised that TJ's liked the book here that has Storm and Thor on a cover?
Thor.
Yeah, I'm
that was
easy
my
to please.
immediate thought. Was my immediate thought.
Yeah. But imagine if I was like, I hate this. I hate it. Yeah, obviously too, like Damon said, take my criticism, my review with a little grain of salt, because these are some of my favorite characters. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. What Murewa is doing in this book for just like the mythology of the Marvel universe, eternity, oblivion, the one above all, like we are dealing with some major concepts here, and I personally think that he is doing a really great job, and we will be seeing the effects of this run for a long while to come. On to some more DC. Justice League Unlimited, not an absolute title for once. AF, I'm going to assume this is most likely your pick. So we have Justice League Unlimited #6 by writers Mark Waid, Chris Cantwell, artist Travis Moore, colorist Tamra Bonvillain. Bonvillain, that's a cool last name. Letterer Dave Sharp, and associate editor Marquise Draper, and editor Paul Kaminsky. AF, tell me all about Justice League Unlimited. I know this is a series you've been liking, but I feel like last time you were a little iffy on the last issue, if I remember correctly.
So yeah, the last issue was more about like the fact that the Legion of Doom just appeared, and there were a lot of question marks being raised because where did they come from? Lex Luthor is now a good guy. There's Gorilla Grodd, there's Black Manta, all of these people that are either like being locked up or stuff like that. They all like banded together, and then we find out that they have been assembled throughout time, and this actually crosses over with the Batman Superman comic that's currently going on, and in this issue of Justice League, we actually find out how this came to be. So, Damon, you might have remembered that Airwave was playing sort of a double agent in the Absolute Power arc, and then in the first or second issue of Justice League Unlimited. And we get some answers as to why he did what he did. He wasn't acting on his own. He had all of these thoughts planted in his mind by Gorilla Grodd. He basically planted these thoughts in his mind that the Justice League are bad people. Sorry. He planted thoughts that the Justice League killed people, and obviously, if you think that somebody's a bad person, you're going to be going against them. So he was infiltrating from the inside for Gorilla Grodd, trying to find out all of the Justice League's plans and stuff like that. And he, somewhere throughout the Absolute arc or the Absolute Power arc, he was infected with tachyon poisoning, and Gorilla Grodd found that out, and that's when he started to sort of court him. And he used that tachyon poisoning to sort of go throughout history and assemble the Legion of Doom. And that's where we find it ourselves now. And the end of the book, Airwave comes to his senses, and what happens? Gorilla Grodd just completely obliterates him.
No.
R.I.P. Airwave.
Oh, Mark Waid.
You were taken too young.
Oh God, no.
And yeah, but I enjoyed the issue mainly just because we have some blanks filled in. They didn't drag this out too long, trying to make us wonder why Airwave has been doing what he's doing. So 6 issues in, they gave us the answers. We have the Legion of Doom. They're going to be squaring off against the Justice League in the 3rd issue of, I think it's the 3rd issue of Superman Batman. So yeah, I'm keen to check that out whenever that drops.
Oh man.
I would say, Damon, it sounds like you have some thoughts on this.
Oh, they tear an Airwave. Oh, so sad. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Airwave. I have no idea what's going on in this book, but I was a huge fan of the Super Friends when I was growing up. So to hear that the Legion of Doom is making an appearance might be enough to make me pick up issue 7 just on its own.
Do it.
Do it. Oh, speaking of do it, really quickly, quick sidetrack. AF, did you get to interview Palpatine?
I did not. He rejected any media personnel that came forward and tried to interview him. So, yeah.
Sad. Maybe next time.
Sad
But
Very
on a lighter
in character,
note, we have a Superman book. Obviously, it is the year of Superman, and we have Superman number 25, writer Joshua Williams, artist Dan Mora, and Jamal Campbell, penciler Eddie Barrows, inker Abir Ferreira. Sorry if I said that wrong. And colorist Alejandro Sanchez, letterer Dave Sharp, editors Jillian Grant, and Paul Kaminsky. Tell me all about Superman, boys. What's going on?
So, DJ, remember a few months ago when we started enlightening you about this new Lex Luthor?
And I said, don't trust him, and you can never trust the Lex Luthor.
Dude had this entire thing planned out, but the only thing that he didn't foresee was the fact that he's going to have his memory wiped. So he had this insane plan, just like plotted out, of how he's going to get Superman to fully trust him. He's going to get everybody to see that he's this good guy. And he had Mercy Graves working with him, obviously trying to like keep the secret. And essentially it's the establishment of the Super Corp that they've done, and to get Superman to basically do his bidding. That was the end goal. But yeah, he ended up having his memory wiped with the whole House of Brainiac event. He became a good-ish person, and yeah, like now we find ourselves over here. The end of this book was a bit hectic for me because we've gotten used to Superwoman and Lois having these powers, and there was a huge fight that took place, and Lois loses her powers. She's just plain old Lois Lane now, the reporter, the amazing reporter. Damon, have you read this issue?
So it's funny. I have not read this issue yet. So I'm just learning about Lois losing her Zod powers now. So now Zod's powers are just gone for everyone. Zod's finally going to get to Earth and be like, you have my powers. And she's like, nah, I don't anymore. And he's like, crap. But hey, how about that bottom? Perry White wins.
Yep, that's not even like a proper story point in this issue. I think that's just like extra art for world building. And it's like, oh, remember in that last issue, there was like some random panel over there that says Perry White wins.
That's such a weird way to reveal that, because I was I really enjoyed that Perry White running for mayor, plot point. And it just kind of got pushed off to the side.
I think there's so many things happening in here. The Jimmy Olsen, he's chilling in a hospital bed because he almost got obliterated by Radiant, and Silver Sable Silver Banshee, Silver Banshee ends up hating both Superman and Superwoman because they couldn't save him, and the reason why he was caught in the crossfire is because he wanted to get a picture of Superman and Superwoman together, fighting together. And yeah, now she blames them and she announces herself as one of the arch enemies.
Specifically Superwoman. She finally has her first arch enemy.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter because she doesn't have powers anymore. Yeah. Do you think the end result of all of this will be like Supercorp's going to give Lois her powers back?
I don't know. I don't think so, because the sort of feedback that I've seen online is people weren't really happy that Lois Lane was given powers in the first place, because she's a strong enough woman and strong enough and independent woman without powers. So there were quite a few people. I've actually chatted to quite a few people on Blue Sky, who they just didn't like that sort of creative choice.
See, I didn't mind it because it's very obviously temporary. It wasn't going to last forever. There's no way in hell that was going to last forever. It's not like a MJ jackpot scenario or an MJ Venom scenario or
don't even bring that up,
Venom. Venom
that's
pot
banned.
Jack Venom.
That topic is banned from this show and podcast.
So it was very clearly not going to be like permanent. So I didn't mind it because I had a feeling eventually Zod was going to come down and be like, "You have my powers, and I want him back." And Superman would be like, "Okay."
Yeah, there was like a panel with Zod where he's basically approaching Earth, and they are telling him, "You have no powers, but you can go chill by the yellow sun for a bit. It's just going to take a really long time, and then you'd have your powers back."
Really long time.
That's kind of lame. They couldn't even give the Perry White wins like its own like data page. Like just like make it like an article.
It deserves it. One of my favorite issues of this whole run, I can't remember if it was like the annual or I think it was the annual, where they had like the Bibbo Babowski like at the bar talking to this guy who hated Perry White's guts, and Bibbo was obviously going to be like pro Perry in this scenario, and it was just like two people having like a conversation and like him realizing that like this guy he was going for is evil type of thing. Obviously very timely and in your face when that issue came out, but it was like one of my favorite like little side plot points. I feel like they just completely abandoned it.
One of my favorite things, or not necessarily my favorite thing, but it was a really cool thing to see, is the starting of this issue. We have like it goes to a bit of a flashback a couple of years ago, where the OG Lex is basically running through this plan with Mercy Graves. But then there's a cartoon that's being showed as an advertisement on the TV, and it's this cartoonified Superman and cartoonified Lex Luthor, and they are being extremely friendly, and it's like supposed to be like, "Oh, you my friend, oh, you are amazing," and he was just like, "No, I hate it. I want to shoot it in the face." So that was amazing.
Yeah, there's too much going on for me to, I feel like, jump in. I mean, Lois has powers, Perry White's mayor. I don't know what the hell's going on. But I do love Zod. So to hear that he might pop up, that would be cool. That might get me in.
Yeah.
Now to the book of the week. My book of the week. One that me and Damon have both been excited for, and all of my fellow Planeteers out there. We have Captain Planet #1 by writer David Pepose, artist Aman Casalos, colorist George Suttle, letterer Jeff Eckelberry, and editor Joseph Rybrandt. I'm gonna let Damon take first on this one, because again, we've both been really excited about this. My fellow Planeteer Damon, how did you feel about issue 1?
Well, first I'm going to ask AF this question because I walked into my comic shop and the owner, Dan, brought this up and I couldn't stop laughing, and now I can't unsee it. Is that James Gunn as Captain Planet?
James Gunn, I think it low-key looks like Pepose. Anyone out there who doesn't know what Pepose looks like?
I see James, the hair, the beard, make it white, and that's James Gunn.
Do you think James Gunn sat down for a caricature, like art drawing of himself?
Anyway.
If you think that's funny, wait till you see the main villain, Loot and Plunder.
So anyway, this book's fun. Captain Planet was one of those TV series, one of those cartoons I was growing up that was really influential on me, like it was a lot of kids of the 90s. It was very of its time. And this issue felt like, almost like the opening sequence of a pilot episode. Not the entire pilot episode, but the opening sequence of one, I'd say. Like the first 10 minutes or so. So it's fun. Inca's redesign here Golly.
Yo, she might be my favorite.
Oh my god. They straight up just made her Ilyana Rasputin. It's not
Literally.
fair.
And my boy Mati, yo, they're about to put some respect on the power of heart. Everyone talks shit about the power of heart, but Mati's about to show everyone.
Very fun first issue. TJ, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I will also agree it definitely is like the introduction of this story. Like I think Damon said it perfectly. Like the first like 10 maybe 15 minutes of like episode 1 if you would. And for me, I feel like that was the perfect way to kind of execute it. I mean, Captain Planet has been kind of stuck in the 90s for a long, long time now. Obviously, us 90 kids have very fond memories of it, but I would not be surprised if a lot of people a little younger than us probably don't even know who Captain Planet is. So I thought as a first issue, Damon, we talk about this all the time, like what makes a first issue good, or, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be crazy. And this one does its job. We get to see Captain Planet. We get to see how all the Planeteers get their rings and get a little bit of insight into the threat that they will face. So 2 thumbs up from me all around. I love this new redesign of Captain Planet where he is literally composed of the elements like earth and fire. We get to see him use some really cool powers just in the first couple pages, which again, I mean, yeah, Captain Planet has powers in the cartoon, but we don't get to see him use them like that. So I really enjoyed this. I think it's a great first issue to get us into this. And if it is anything like Pepose's other work on Space Ghost, and we just talked about Speed Racer last week, I think this is going to be another Pepose classic. AF, I know you haven't read this yet, but are you a Planeteer with me and Damon? Did you get on Captain Planet?
This was my Saturday morning staple, man. Like,
yes, let's go. That makes me so happy.
So yeah, I'm gonna check this out whenever it arrives to my comic book store. What's the publication?
Dynamite.
Okay. Let's hope that they get
Dynamite's
it
hilarious because they'll put out books that it's like DuckTales and Captain Planet, and then you turn the corner, it's like Vampirella.
Dude,
they got everything.
The things I've seen at Comic-Con this past weekend.
But yeah, I can't recommend this book enough. And for everyone else out there that is excited for it or enjoyed this first issue, I can happily announce that we will be dropping an episode with David Pepose this weekend where we talked all about Captain Planet and a couple of other really fun things. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. Hello Darkness, one of Damon's favorites. We have been talking, I feel like we've been talking about this book for like over a year now, which is not a bad thing. This is the anthology series that collects a bunch of weird and cool horror stories. Damon, what'd you think of this newest issue that we got?
Well, one of the fun things about Hello Darkness is that it is an anthology. So sometimes you get hit or miss issues. This issue, I'd say there's one story in here I liked. It's not because it was scary, and that's kind of the point. It's called A Friend of Mine. It's by Dan Abnett with art from Jeff Stokely. And it's literally Dan telling a ghost story from the perspective of the artist. But as he says in this issue, ghost stories aren't inherently scary. It's just a matter of weird things happening. So he just kind of tells a story of like some weird things happening, and he's telling it as if you're sitting next to him at the bar, where he corrects himself sometimes and he'll get sidetracked. And it's a very fun story back and forth where even the artist who's doing the art is kind of like, no, we don't want to tell that part yet. He's like, oh yeah, right. We have to go do this first. So it's fun in that regard, and it's just like a little weird story about how this house that this guy bought, all of a sudden like some weird things started showing up in the house, like coins, and then one day they heard a clunk and all these keys started appearing, and the keys would randomly be able to lock or unlock the same door. Like sometimes it works, sometimes it wouldn't. And that was just kind of like it. And then some weird noises would happen. And they're like, oh yeah, and this road was all the way down from Cambridge. Maybe it has to do with that. Maybe it doesn't. It's a ghost story. They don't have to make sense. So that was a fun one. And then the other one, which is always a favorite of mine, is the one pages by Hack are like horror / humor. And the last one, the last panel is literally like the two people that he's drawing, and they're just like, why is everything this guy writes and draws so depressing? It's like, why are we always so sad in these? And it's like, oh no, blame him.
Yeah,
so those always make me laugh.
I would say those like Far Side style little strips that he does are always my favorite part of the book. But I'll admittedly, I flipped through this one. I did read a couple of stories, but I'm definitely going to go back and read the one you're talking about, Damon, because I am always a big fan of just like creative storytelling. You know, when writers / artists take kind of really big creative swings, whether it lands for me or not, I just always think that's super cool. AF, did you get a chance to read any of these?
I'm so far behind. I think I've only ever read the first 5 issues of Hello Darkness.
And I'll say this, you can pick any of these up whenever, because it is an anthology series. My biggest critique, unfortunately enough, I love Something is Killing the Children. I talk about that book all the time. Whenever a new issue drops, I always make it a priority that we talk about on the show. And they have like Something is Killing the Children, little like stories in here. I feel like we're on issue 10. I feel like this is like the 4th, maybe 5th time I've seen this pop up. And honest to God, guys, nothing is happening in that story. Like literally nothing is happening. They're just talking. And I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, I feel like this should have been a back-to-back-to-back thing. And it would be a good little intro for people who don't read Something is Killing the Children again to be like, oh, that's this world. But the stories are so spread out that it's just like, oh yeah, we're back at this. And it's two people talking about what they think is going on. And it's like, if you've read Something's Killing the Children, you know what's going on. And if you don't, then it's like, okay, I feel like you'd want to know what's going on at this point.
Yeah, I don't. As someone like from the outside looking in, I don't know. That just seems like a weird, like a creative choice for me, because like I know nothing about killing the children. So when those stories pop up in Hello Darkness, I am not really interested, because like you said, nothing's really happening, and like I'll be honest, I usually kind of just skip over it because it's not really giving me any information. I am interested about Something's Killing Children, especially Damon. We have talked about it at length now, but again, at least from the pages I've read of those from Hello Darkness, I don't know anything more about the world than when I started.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, but sometimes there are issues of Something's Killed the Children where it is just talking. But you're at like issue 12 or 13 at that point, and it's earns that. Like you earned like that conversation, and you feel like you're getting something out of that. Here, it's like these issues, like those stories are only literally like 2 to 3 pages at most, like in this book. So it's like, oh my goodness. Like let's get to it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Even though again I don't read Something's Killing the Children, I feel like this story should have just been its own issue, or like little 4-issue
like
mini,
it will be
whatever.
Its own issue. Like it feels like it's a 20-page thing that's been broken down into 3 to 4 page releases at a time.
Yeah.
So anyway, and it probably will be its own thing. Regardless, do not let this stop you from reading the best comic on the shelf from James Tynion IV.
Yes.
Go read Something's Killing the Children. There's like 7 volumes out. Go pick them up. Go to your local comic shop. Go to Hoopla, whatever, because that book is phenomenal. And also, Hello Darkness as a whole is just great because it's an anthology. And like I said, you just pick one up and read it. You don't need to read any previous one because it's an anthology, and you just have fun with it.
Yeah, especially if you like kind of spooky stories. I mean, there's some, I wouldn't say any of them really kind of go like into like really scary, you know what I mean? Like they're more like creepy kind of bedtime stories. So, which
Oh,
again,
I don't
there
know.
are some that are
The
push the
first
line.
issues of the War freaked me out.
Yeah.
Because that's like real world, like, and that was like the Garth Ennis story to start this off. That's like real world, like, hey, what if nuclear war actually happened on a global level? And you're like, oh, yeah, that's good night, everyone.
Yep. See, I'm a fan of the fun ones. Like in this one, we had I forget the exact name, but like Maniac Grannies, Killer Grannies, or something.
Yeah,
It's like I love that.
Silly. Yeah, it's silly slasher ridiculousness.
And that's what I'm here for. I want to highlight this comment from TJ again, just because that was funny. But little inside joke for TJ there. You know, I might not know anything about Something's Killing Children, but it does remind me of the movie Never Back Down. So I think that TJ would really enjoy that book. Moving on for pulls of next week. I have a fatty list, and I'm guessing that this is Damon's list because I never
what, you're telling
have my
me
list
Gwenpool
ready.
number 1 isn't on your list?
Surprising, right? So Damon, lead us off because you have your picture up here.
Gwenpool number 1. I gotta hate read something, and they're putting Jeff and Kate Bishop in a book with Gwenpool, with Gwen Stacy's freaking dug up grave zombie self. I'm gonna love to hate read that one. Hopefully, who knows? Maybe it's actually gonna be good. Maybe it's gonna be good. Watch this be the biggest twist in like a reveal type of thing. You're like, this is actually fun. Anyway, Absolute Batman number 8, of course, Ultimate Black Panther number 16, and Ultimate X-Men number 15. And we just had Free Comic Book Day last week. We have Free Comic Book Day every month with Chip Zdarsky's Comic News, where it is free. Your comic shop should have it. And it's a delight because it's just Chip making fun of the comic industry, one issue at a time.
I love Chip Zdarsky. Like, not only do I love his writing, obviously, but he's just so freaking funny. Like every video I see of him, he is hilarious.
My favorite Chip Zdarsky moment was New York Comic Con when they announced the Ultimate Universe officially. And Chip Zdarsky came in to announce his old-timey Avengers book with Captain America that we adored. And
so good.
He came in, was like, yeah, I'm writing this, but I'm also writing Batman. And he ran out of the room. We just never saw him again.
Dude, he is so funny. I recommend, I forget what it's called, but he has a YouTube channel and he does these like comic like he's like a comic like editor or something. I don't know. I can't remember, but they're really funny.
Like TED, like his TED talks
for
comic people. And he's very not serious, everyone. That's the whole point.
Yeah, he's so funny. But AF, again, I know that you're usually kind of a week or so behind, but what are you picking up next week, and what are you most excited for?
Yeah, so the books that's coming up next week for me that released this week for you guys are the ones that I'm reading is Secrets 6 number 3, Spider-Gwen. I think that is the first crossover between Spider-Gwen and the Phoenix. So that's going to be cool to see how that goes down. And then, yeah, my Free Comic Book Day is this weekend coming up because last weekend was Comic-Con. So the comic book stores were at the con themselves. So they basically all just postponed their Free Comic Book Day to this weekend coming up. So I'm stoked for that, and I can't wait. If you are in South Africa and you're watching this, then yeah, head to Readers Den this weekend.
Head over to Readers Den, get those comics, and like we said last week, for all of our American consumers, please also don't be afraid or intimidated to buy something as well. The comic shops need our help. They usually do this just out of the goodness of their heart. But I have a stacked week next week. Like, I'm kind of afraid, honestly. But I have pretty much everything Damon has. Absolute Batman 8, Black Panther, Ultimate X-Men, of course, which I am... Yeah, Gwenpool, that's top of my list, obviously. But I have some really, really exciting stuff for me. Obviously, Immortal Thor number 23. Obviously, a favorite title of mine, but big one. We have Invincible Universe Battle Beast number 1 dropping next week. And I cannot be more excited for that. I obviously am a huge fan of Invincible, but I think that even if you're not crazy about Invincible, it's just exciting to see such a big title like coming back with a new series. I mean, I never thought I'd see Invincible come back with a new title again. So I think that's super exciting. We have One World Under Doom number 4, which y'all know I have been loving. One World Under Doom. Phoenix 11 AF, a book I know you are enjoying as well. Shout out Stephanie Phillips. She is crushing this. Space Ghost number 12. I told you it's a big week for me. Space Ghost number 12, another one of my favorites. Again, friend of the show, Dave Pepose. You can go check out our interview all about that. And I have Uncanny X-Men and Wolverine number 9. Whew, I'm out of breath after just going through all that. But again, stacked week of comics. So we are going to have a stacked episode for all of you next week. But before we get out of here, I just want to throw it off to you guys really quickly. Is there anything else you guys want to bring up, bring to people's attention? Damon, do you have anything in the works that you can tease? What do we got going on, man? Damon, I'll throw it off to you first.
I'm focusing on breathing in and breathing out and taking a left step and a right step and taking everything day by day. And it's gonna be magical. No, seriously. I'm looking forward to next week's show. We're going to talk about Gwenpool, like I just said. Maybe it'll be good, everyone. Maybe it won't be terrible.
Place your bets now, people.
The way Damon is trying to convince himself is so hilarious. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I appreciate.
I'm gonna read it as well, but that will only be in 2 weeks' time. So I'll get the teaser from Damon.
Oh,
next week.
AF, don't you worry. I will give you this issue. We're gonna enjoy it together.
Now I feel like I have to pick it up just for the goofs and gaffs. So maybe I might flip through that issue.
You're gonna get on the show next week and just give me a death glare. Like you owe me $4.99.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Or maybe you're gonna be like, wow, this was the best book of the week.
Yeah, if it's ass cookies, then you owe me $5. But I honestly, now I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna probably like it just because I know everyone hates it, and I
can never hate something I haven't read yet. I can anticipate things, but maybe we'll see. It has Kate Bishop, it has Jeff. I like Gwenpool as a character. The only question is, as AF knows, is quite literally digging up the grave of Gwen Stacy. How are we approaching that? I guess we'll see. Will it be? Here's my question to you both. Will it be more controversial than Venom MJ? Goodbye, everyone.
Get out of here, Damon. Log off right now. I told you not to bring that up ever again. But I mean, like I said, hey, who knows? Damon, I appreciate your optimism, first of all. But I mean, this sounds like it's written specifically for you. I mean, Jeff, Kate, Gwen. I mean, I think you might be surprised, my friend.
I may be.
But get ready to lose $5.
I assume for Bex, the channel here will be covering season 5 of Stranger Things.
Yes, thank you. I was just going to highlight that. We probably won't here on Comic Corner, but I guarantee that there will be some sort of Agents of Fandom show for it because we have everything you need. Be sure to go follow us everywhere on our socials. Check out agentsofandom.com. We have amazing reviews coming out all the time. And like I said, we have an episode for pretty much everything that you are watching on TV. Andor, The Last of Us, again, pretty much everything. And of course, you can catch us every Thursday to hear our reviews for the best comics of the week. Also, just to remind everybody, we will be having David Pepose coming this weekend to talk about Captain Planet. We also are going to be having Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly in on the show to talk all about Thunderbolts, both the movie and the comic book, because they obviously are writing Thunderbolts. And we are hopefully going to be getting Moreo Audeli in here as well to reconvene on Storm and the Thunder War. So be sure to tune in and catch us every Thursday and don't miss a thing. And we will see you all next time. Thank you, everyone, for joining in on us.